There is a moment in every person's life that arrives quietly. It doesn't come with an announcement. There are no flashing lights. No one gathers around to tell you it's happening. Sometimes it appears late at night when the world is silent. Sometimes it appears in the middle of chaos when life feels uncertain and overwhelming. Sometimes it comes when everything you thought was stable begins to fall apart. In that moment, a realization slowly begins to grow. You begin to understand something that changes the way you see your life forever. No one is going to live your life for you. No one's going to fight your battles for you. No one else is going to build the future you dream about. At first, that realization can feel heavy. It can feel lonely. But if you stay with that thought long enough, something incredible begins to happen. The weight begins to transform into something else. It becomes power. Because if no one else controls your life, then neither do your fears. Neither do your failures. Neither do the opinions of people who never understood your dreams. What you begin to realize is something extraordinary. Your life has always belonged to you. And the power you have been searching for has been inside you all along. Most people grow up believing that empowerment is something given to them. They believe someone else grants it. A teacher who believes in them, a boss who promotes them, a partner who encourages them, a society that finally approves of their choices. Encouragement from others can be beautiful. It can lift us up in moments when we need it most. But real empowerment does not come from applause. It does not come from approval, and it does not come from permission. It comes from a decision. A quiet decision that happens inside your mind. A moment where you stop waiting. Stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting for the perfect opportunity. Stop waiting for someone to tell you that you are capable. Instead, you begin to understand that your life will change the moment you decide to take ownership of it. Not tomorrow, not someday, now. For many people, that decision does not arrive during easy times. It often arrives after hardship, after disappointment, after failure. Sometimes it appears when you look around at your life and realize you have been living according to the expectations that were never truly yours. Expectations from family, from society, from people who believed they knew what your life should look like. And one day, you pause long enough to ask a question that changes everything. What about me? What about the dreams I once had? What about the person I believed I could be? And it can be a frightening question to ask, because asking it means facing the possibility that somewhere along the way, you began shrinking. Shrinking your voice, shrinking your ambitions, shrinking your belief in what you deserve. You were told to be realistic, to be careful, to not risk too much, to not aim too high. And slowly, without even realizing it, invisible walls began forming around your life. Walls built from doubt. Walls built from fear. Walls built from the expectations of other people. And the strange things about these walls is that they feel real. They feel permanent. But they are not made of stone. They are made of belief. And what belief builds, belief can also break. Think about the moments in your life when you believed something was impossible. Maybe it was overcoming a challenge that once seemed overwhelming. Maybe it was learning something new that once felt out of reach. Maybe it was surviving a moment you believed would break you completely. Yet, here you are. You made it through. You learned something about yourself in the process. Something powerful. Human beings are far stronger than they often realize. Inside every person is a depth of resilience waiting to be discovered. Inside every person is courage they have not yet fully seen. But that strength rarely reveals itself during easy moments. It appears during the times when we are pushed beyond what we thought we could handle. It appears when life demands that we grow. and growth is rarely comfortable. Growth asks us to step into uncertainty, to face fears, to try again after failing. But that is where empowerment begins. There is a voice inside every person. You know the one. It whispers doubt when you consider doing something bold. It reminds you of every mistake you've ever made. It tells you that you're not ready, that you're not talented enough, not smart enough, not strong enough. That voice has stopped more dreams than failure ever could, because failure at least requires you to try. Doubt stops people before they even begin. But here is something important to remember. That voice is not truth. It is fear. Fear speaking in the language of uncertainty. Fear pretending to know what the future holds. But fear does not know your potential. Fear does not know what you are capable of becoming. The only way to discover that is to move forward anyway. Courage does not mean the absence of fear. Courage means action in the presence of fear. Every person who has ever done something meaningful has felt afraid. Every entrepreneur, every artist, every leader, every dreamer who dared to step into something uncertain. Fear is not a signal to stop. More often, fear appears when you're standing at the edge of growth, when you're about to step beyond the limits you once believed defined your life. The difference between people who remain stuck and people who transform their lives is one simple decision. One group listens to fear and stops. The other listens to fear and keeps walking. Step by step, one small act of courage at a time. And eventually, those steps create a path they never imagined possible. There will be people who doubt you. That is a part of life. Some people doubt because they fear their own potential. Some doubt because they cannot see beyond their own limitations. Some doubt simply because change makes them uncomfortable. But someone else's doubt does not define your future. It only reflects the limits of their imagination. Throughout history, people have been told their dreams were unrealistic. They were told they were too young, too old, too inexperienced, too different. And yet many of those same people went on to reshape the world. Not because they were extraordinary from the beginning, but because they refused to accept someone else's definition of what was possible. Empowerment begins when you stop asking the world for permission to become who you were meant to be. But perhaps the most important person who must believe in you is not a stranger, not a teacher, not a boss, not even a loved one. It is you. Belief in yourself is not something that appears overnight. It grows slowly. It grows each time you try again after failing. Each time you stand up after being knocked down. Each time you refuse to give up on a dream that still lives inside you. Your struggles did not make you weaker. They shaped you. They built resilience inside you. They taught you lessons that cannot be learned through comfort. Sometimes the very experiences we wish had never happened are the ones that prepare us for the life ahead. They deepen our understanding, strengthen our character, and remind us we are capable of surviving more than we once believed. There will be days when the journey feels long, days when progress feels invisible, days when you question whether the effort is worth it. Those days happen to everyone. But growth is rarely dramatic. Most transformation happens quietly. It happens through small decisions made consistently over time. The decision to keep going, the decision to keep learning, the decision to keep believing that something better is possible. Over time, those decisions create momentum, and momentum can carry you further than you ever imagined. Empowerment is not about becoming perfect. Perfection is an illusion. Empowerment is about authenticity. It is about becoming the truest version of yourself. Not the version others expect you to be, not the version that hides your flaws, but the version that embraces growth and continues evolving. The world does not need a perfect version of you. The world needs a courageous version of you, a version willing to try, to speak, to create, to stand up for what matters, to live fully rather than quietly watching life pass by. There is a life waiting for you beyond the limits you once believed were permanent. A life where your voice matters, where your dreams matter, where your potential is allowed to unfold. But stepping into that life requires a choice to believe that your story is not finished, a choice to believe that the person you are today is only the beginning of who you can become, a choice to stop waiting for permission to live the life that calls to you. Because the truth is simple. You never needed permission. You never needed approval. You never needed someone else to tell you that you were capable. The strength you have been searching for has been with you all along. It lives in your resilience, in your courage, in your determination to keep moving forward. The moment you truly understand that, the moment you stop asking whether you are strong enough and start realizing that you always were, that is the moment your life begins to change. Because empowerment is not something you find. It is something you claim. And the moment you claim it, the future stops being something that happens to you. It becomes something you create. Your story is still being written.